back to back to back losses. It's been a rough few weeks and not much to celebrate about in terms of SDFC. You got to know Mike Gio does not like losing, nor does he like his teams losing. But with the new game, it's another chance to get a dub and right the ship. What can we expect against Dallas this week? Which players will start in Mikey Varas' lineup? Will we get the win? And a win is much needed, not only for the fans, but for the confidence of the squad to get Mikey Varas' confidence back, cool down the seat just a little bit. And I was a little bit tough on Mikey Varas last week. And in the end, the coach is the captain of this ship and needs to get the team ready physically and mentally. If the players aren't hustling, you got to get into them. If they are not executing your game plan, you got to start asking why and get into them. And if something is just not working, create adjustments at halftime. Don't need to change the entire strategy, but adjustments are needed every single game. But I think there has to be pressure on Mikey Varas because 3 losses in a row that automatically just puts you under pressure. And who he chooses to play this week will be interesting, and there's going to be pressure in selecting the right lineup. Reyes will be coming back from suspension. So does he get the start in the center back position, or will we go with our 2 stalwarts, McNair and McVeigh, at center back? And the forever question, and I have to say, I never know who is going to start at wingback, at defensive wingbacks. Those are going to be very big questions that he's going to need to answer this week. And having this many changes in now week 11, and you had, preseason to check it out, but it does not create continuity. And I think continuity is so important in soccer. I do think the Ingvarsson injury, which we've kind of put on the back burner, has hurt, but that happened. And so we need to move past that. We need to get over that, and we need to find solutions. This is so important to soccer, of understanding the player you're going to play next to each and every week. And that doesn't mean other players don't come in, especially when you're going through 3 or 4 different competitions, with domestic competitions, MLS regular season, maybe even some international competitions. But to build continuity, to build understanding amongst your players, I think is very important. And people will say, Mike, there's only been about roughly 15 weeks this team has been together. Absolutely. But also, can we ever know what the back line is going to look like? So we really haven't had a solid setup back line week in, week out, so they can't build continuity. And I think Mikey Varas is struggling in those positions to find a solution. And it's tough, but you got to make decisions because that's what you get paid for. But he has to go, obviously, when we're talking about lineups, with the same attacking front 3. I don't think he has much option there. Chucky, Dreer, Valakati. I wouldn't have broke them up a few weeks ago, and I think that hurt their continuity and their rhythm. And so they're a little bit out of rhythm, but I don't worry as much about our offense as I do about our defense. Obviously, when we're talking about the midfield, you're going to have Godoy, Tsverkov, and Luka. But who is going to start on that back line? I would go with McVeigh, McNair, and even though I'm not big on these 2, they've been the 2 players that have been in the winning games more so. Negri and Lawfulson. I think you just have to go for continuity. And for the most part, they're not great. But again, I don't think we have great options there. Build some continuity, make some hard decisions, and stick with those hard decisions. But we also have to look at the players, right? Chucky, he played hero ball last time. I think he was really pushing. He was forcing to try to get a goal. And when that happens, you're trying to take on double teams, triple teams. You're missing wide open teammates for passes. And I think that hurt him the last game. So he needs to let the goal come to him. He needs to facilitate play as a team. We play great when we get assists on our goals. That's how we need to get our goals, not one-on-one play. But Luca De La Torre is my favorite player talent-wise on SDFC. You know, Chuki's the most exciting player on our team, but I think as far as the engine, the one that can unlock things most often and be most impactful a lot of the time is Luka. The problem is he hasn't been all that impactful as of late, but what I need him to do is command the midfield on the offensive end, dribble through defenders, facilitate to our wingers and our attackers, be the engine of the offense, but like the entire game, not just moments. I want to see you like Luna did to us last game. Luna was all over the place. He was creating so much for Real Salt Lake, and I want Luka to be that guy, to be the guy in the midfield to make things happen. So the players need to take some onus as well. We need our people to step up. This week, FC Dallas is coming. They are 1 point ahead of us in the Western Conference. So they take actually the 6th spot, and we're right behind them in the 7th spot. Not too far away. It's a really, really good game to win, because if you win this game, you know you're moving at least one more spot in the table in the standings. So we can at least get to 6th if we win this game. Looking at the stats, there's a similar goals against, a similar goals for. That should kind of tell you a lot of the story about how these teams match up, not only on offense, but obviously on defense. Obviously, both teams look a little bit stronger on the offensive end, a little bit weaker on the defensive end. So we're going to need to show out this game and play with force. Again, I want intensity. I want hunger. I want grit, resilience. That's what I want to see from the first whistle. But if we look at the power rankings, this was very interesting when I was looking at the power rankings. SDFC is 8th in the power rankings. FC Dallas is 15th, even though they're 1 place ahead of us in the Western Conference standing. That should show you what the national pundits think of FC Dallas. They've kind of been gritting out their results. And when you watch the Inter Miami FC Dallas game, I don't know if anyone watched it. Big shout out to Philippe. He mentioned this game, told me to watch it because it was an absolute cracker of a game. It was an awesome, just fun game to watch because there were 7 goals between the team. Dallas was down 3-1 against Inter Miami, a 3-1 deficit. And what I saw, they had fight. They had belief. They had effort. Dallas didn't give up. They did not stop pushing. And they believed they could win. And guess what? They got the win in the end with a 4-3 result. And, you know, really, when you're down 3-1, whatever game plan you had going into the game is thrown out the window. Because you maybe wanted to control possession. Maybe you wanted to be obviously in the lead, hold the lead, or maybe go up big. You're down 3-1, you have to attack. You have to send people forward to try to get a result. And obviously that's what they did. But this is what always gets me. When you send a lot of players forward, that leaves you susceptible in the back. So that shows that even though they were susceptible in the back, they were running back. They were playing their defense. They were hustling their tails off to go forward and run back on defense and hold Miami to no more goals after the 3-1. I will say, and herein lies the rub. Inter Miami did not have their stars playing. There was no Messi, no Suarez, no Alaba, no Busquets. Busquets was literally just on the bench. He was listed in the lineup, but just on the bench. So obviously they weren't playing Inter's best team. They were playing a weaker Inter team. But when you're down 3-1, you can easily just give up. And they didn't do that. And again, that shows fight and that shows grit. And again, if the national pundits think they're not that good, but yet they're still 1 position above us in the Western Conference standing, that should probably tell you how much fight and grit they have. And that's what we're going to need to watch out for, because they're going to be bringing that to the game. 2 ballers we need to watch out for on the FC Dallas side. We need to be aware of Musa, their striker. 17 goals in all competitions last year. But they have a new player on their squad and a former MVP of the MLS in 2023, Acosta, or Lucho, as he is known. Joined the squad this year, plays a number 10 role, obviously can facilitate, obviously can attack, obviously can link up with Musa. So Musa, striker down the middle, and you got Acosta, sometimes plays a little left, sometimes, right down the middle. So that's going to be the middle of our defense. we're going to need to be solid, right? Our center defensive mids, our center backs are going to need to be solid to watch out for them. But obviously, our wings are going to need to step up, and our entire defensive line is going to need to step up, because 9 goals in the last 3 games is not going to do it. Looking at the FC Dallas formation, they play a couple different formations, but they're very, very similar. So they often play 4-2-3-1, but they've also played a 4-3-2-1. Obviously, similar formations, just changing how many either defensive mids or attacking midfielders, they have in either lineup. So it's going to be interesting to see which one they select and how Mikey Varas has a game plan for hopefully both of these, not just one, and how we can maybe adjust in case they come out into a more attacking formation or more defensive formation. But looking at Dallas's last 5 games to really see kind of what form they're in going into this game, they have 2 wins, 1 loss, and 2 ties. Not great form, but not bad form, and they've kind of got some results or at least earned a point. Us, we've had 2 wins, no ties, and 3 losses. And our 3 losses have been our last 3, so our form has obviously dipped. But also, looking at the goals against, we've allowed 11 goals, and Dallas has only allowed 6. So their defense, at least right now, has been a lot better. But when we're talking about predictions, who's going to win this game, I'm all about patterns, law of averages, the mean, and I think everything eventually returns to the averages. The 3 losses, that's just not it. 3 losses in a row, that's just not SDFC. We have too many ballers on the squad. Mikey Varas is a good coach, so I think knowing that we have 3 losses in a row, it's only time until we bounce back and find our rhythm again. So just based on the law of averages, SDFC wins this game, and they right the ship. It's going to be 3-1. So let's get it, San Diego. Let's root this team on. San Diego FC, let's get this win. I'm Mike Gio with the Penalty Kick Podcast. I'll catch y'all next time.